My name is Tanner Irwin, and I'll be doing a presentation on the Negro League. Have you ever wondered why old baseball photos only show white men playing the sport? It's because baseball hasn't always been as diverse sport like it is today. There actually used to be a rule making it that African Americans couldn't participate, or any colored people of any sort. As a response, they formed their own Negro League. In this speech, I'll tell you when and why the Negro League was formed, some people whose name you might recognize, and why the Negro League ended. The original National Association of Baseball players banned black players in 1867, but by the 1870s, a few African Americans were on white teams. These players fell victim to racism and eventually a color ban. The Negro League came to life in the 1920s when there were several leagues formed. When we talk about the Negro League, people might think of a bunch of players that no one has ever heard of because they didn't make it to big leagues. But in reality, there are a few players from the Negro League that are very famous. The first one is Jackie Robinson. Jackie played only one season for the Kansas City Monarchs before he made it into the major leagues. He is better known for breaking the color barrier than when he played in the Negro League. He broke into the major leagues in 1947 when he was the first African American player when he signed with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Jackie opened the window for African American athletes today by breaking the color barrier into baseball. At the end of his rookie season, Jackie was named Rookie of the Year, the NL's MVP, and he even earned the batting title. There were also a couple other players, one by the name of Satchel Paige, and another one that is not as well known by the name of Josh Gibson. Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson had a big impact on the Negro League. Satchel Paige was described by some players as the best pitcher they'd ever faced. He was not only a great pitcher with a very fast fastball and great aim, but he was also known for his showboating. Paige was picked up by the Indians in 1948 when they wanted to win the pennant, and he ended up leading them to win the pennant. And in 1971, he was inducted into the MLB Hall of Fame. Josh Gibson was said to be the best catcher and hitter of any leagues, and is even called the Black Babe Ruth. Gibson never played the MLB because of the color ban, but he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1972. There was also a lady by the name of Effa Manley, who was a pioneer in breaking down baseball's racial barriers. Unlike the two, Jackie Robinson and Josh Gibson, mainly faced the additional obstacle of gender bias. She was thought to be black, but she claimed to be white, but her mother was actually part black. And Effa's husband, Abe, started a Negro League team in Brooklyn named the Eagles after he watched a few Negro League games. They eventually moved to Newark because they couldn't compete with the Brooklyn Dodgers fan base. And after a while, Effa eventually took over day-to-day business operation for her husband, and became an important part in the Negro League. Most men didn't like her because she was a female, and they did not feel that she should be leading a team or have any part to do with it because women didn't have the rights they have today. The Negro League no longer exists, but it's still a very important part of the history of baseball as a whole. After Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier, the Negro League stopped growing so fast because players were able to play in the previous all-white league. This caused revenue to drop and teams to start leaving the league because of this. The Negro American League is considered the last league, and the 1951 season is considered the final season. The final team were the Indianapolis Clowns, which ran an amusement team, similar to today's Harlem Globetrotters, when they didn't compete competitively because there wasn't enough teams. And they did this from the mid-1960s to the 1980s. The Negro League was and still is a very important part of the history of baseball. When and why it started, some famous players, and the ending of the Negro League are just a few main points. There is much more to the Negro League and the impact it had on baseball.